Detach, and you'll get everything you desire. I'm Dr. Lilli, a licensed doctor and relationship coach with degrees in neuroscience and psychology. I study how attachment, trauma, and relationship patterns shape the brain. I've spent years researching the exact steps that move someone from insecure to secure. Today, you're going to learn exactly what healthy detachment actually is and how you can use it to get the secure, loving relationship you desire. In this video, I'll break down what detachment really means and the psychology behind why it makes you calmer and more confident, the patterns that keep you performing or pulling away, and how you can use detachment to walk away and create space for the love that actually fits you. So let's start by talking about what detachment actually means, because most people get this wrong, and that's usually why you end up clinging, overthinking, or chasing people who can't meet you. In a minute, I'll explain the part that almost no one talks about, that changes everything about how you show up in love. Detachment doesn't mean being cold or acting like you don't care, and it certainly does not mean closing your heart to love. Detachment simply means this: you're not relying on a person, situation, or thing, or an outcome to make you happy. You can still want love. You can still want a relationship. You can hold that desire and still be okay, even if it's not happening right this second. When you learn how to do that, everything in your love life starts to feel easier and lighter. Because here's the thing, when you're attached to how somebody sees you, you shift into performance mode. Your body feels tense, your mind gets loud, and without meaning to, you start trying to prove that you're enough instead of just being yourself. There's actually a funny psychological phenomenon that happens to all of us. When you're doing something that you're already good at and somebody is watching, you perform even better. But if it's something that you don't feel confident in, you start to perform worse. For example, not being able to have a normal conversation with somebody that you have a crush on or are attracted to, versus you're totally normal, you're fun, you're engaging when you're talking to someone you're not interested in. Why? Because when you're talking to somebody who you want to see you in a certain light and you're focused on the outcome of what they're going to perceive from you, the pressure kicks in and suddenly you're trying to prove that you're worthy. You're attached to their perception of you and suddenly you're fumbling over your words. But when you already believe in your own worth, that pressure is gone. You no longer have to prove or appear perfect. And that's when you show up as your best. That's also when love gets to feel safe, easy, and just naturally flows to you. This is like when nobody wants you when you're single and looking for a partner, but all of a sudden when you're in a relationship, everybody wants you. Because once you're in a relationship, suddenly you're detached. You don't need anybody else to find you. You already embody the energy of already having what you desire. And that is making you, and that makes you more magnetic. I'll explain why that shift matters so much if you want a secure relationship later on. So when you're living and you're dating with detachment, your body actually starts to relax. Your cortisol drops, you start to feel happier, you're healthier, and calmer, even before you have the thing that you desire, which then makes it come more clearly. You see the loop there? So next you need to understand how your attachment style affects the way that you detach. Stay with me because this is where everything clicks. Starting with the anxious attachment style. It's typically pretty clear that anxiously attached people have a strong attachment and that they have difficulty with detachment. They tend to be clingy and worry about losing the relationship. They hold on tightly to that person because deep down, they're terrified of being left. So they cling to the person that they're attached to because they believe that they are the source of the love that they're looking for. But this often keeps them stuck in a relationship where their needs never get met because they're so attached to this person who can't truly give them what they desire in love. But what most people miss is that while the avoidantly attached person looks like they're detached in love, they're actually not detached in the true sense of detachment. In fact, they're actually just as attached, but in a different way. Avoidants are attached to how they're being seen or perceived by their partner. They fear judgment and are attached to protecting themselves from feeling not enough. So what appears like detachment is actually just avoidance. It's them trying to hide from the fear that if somebody gets too close, that person might see the parts of them that they are secretly ashamed of. Ironically, this is why the anxious partner is so attracted to the avoidant one. The anxious person perceives the avoidant as being confident and calm because they look like that on the outside. They admire what they think is healthy detachment and boundaries, when really the avoidant is just scared in a different way. And this dynamic where the anxious is chasing the avoidant is the frustrating pattern that so many people repeat without knowing why. Neither of them gets truly fulfilled because both of them want love, but their attachment or lack of detachment keeps them in this painful cycle. But when you're able to master detachment, you break the cycle and finally get the love that you desire. If you're detaching from your avoidant partner to finally end that push-pull cycle, grab my free no-contact emergency kit linked below. It's got everything you need to bring you back to calm when you're feeling that pull to reach out, even when you know they're not good for you. This next part is where detachment becomes your superpower in your relationships. And when I figured this out myself, it completely changed the way I show up in love, with the last part being the most important. To have a healthy partnership, you need to detach from needing the other person. Needing is based in attachment, fear, and scarcity. When you feel like you need someone, whether in your life or to perceive you a certain way, you stop being you. You start trying to control how they see you. You start molding and shrinking yourself and bending your boundaries to fit what you believe they want. And suddenly, your relationship gets built on a faulty foundation. Maybe you pretend like you like all of the same hobbies, always hanging out with their friends instead of yours, or slowly giving up the parts of your life that made you feel alive. And then on top of that faulty foundation is another problem. When you lose yourself, the relationship loses its spark. As soon as you try to be everything that you think they want you to be, they lose attraction, and then the relationship starts to crumble. And the downfall wasn't because you're not good enough, but because you actually stopped being you. Your attachment to it working out becomes the very reason why it fails. However, when you're detached, you show up as yourself because you're not trying to manage their perception anymore. You're not trying to earn love. You're simply being who you already are. And that is what creates magnetic attraction and connection. Detachment also stops you from putting this person on a pedestal. You stop making love a game to win and their approval the prize. When you take them off the pedestal, you signal to them and yourself that you are equal, and you eliminate the feeling of an unhealthy power dynamic. You no longer need them for your happiness, but you elevate each other's happiness. This is how secure partners show up in love. And it's one of the reasons why secure relationships feel so stable and long-lasting. There's no performance. It's just two people meeting in the middle to create something beautiful. And the most important reason why you need to date with detachment is because it gives you freedom. One of the biggest gifts of detachment is that it gives you freedom and clarity to walk away from what's not right for you and make space for what is. When you're unattached to the idea that a relationship has to last forever or else it's a failure, that's when you can see things clearly. Then you're able to see whether the partnership is truly in alignment with what is best for you. This is not to say to give up on love or the relationship that you've been building. If there are still options to heal through it and both people want to, that is your opportunity for your greatest growth and deepening in your relationship and as individuals. But if there's no way forward or one person simply doesn't want to show up, detachment allows you to let go and move forward. That way, you can find something that is more aligned for you without guilt or a sense of failure that is often accompanied with this. I once stayed with a partner who barely spoke to me, and they pulled away so much that they didn't even want to see me for weeks at a time. And because I was so attached to that story of us being seen as relationship goals and me just not wanting to be wrong, I used that to justify staying in this painful relationship even when it was tearing me down. But I had to learn that loving someone doesn't mean destroying myself in the process. With detached, you stop holding on to lonely, toxic relationships for years, hoping that something will change. You stop making their lack of effort mean something about your worth. And you stop believing that this person has to be the one. Not only does it help you let go of the relationship, but also move on to find something better suited for you. You don't spend your time post-breakup constantly wondering what would have, could have, or should have happened. You accept the outcome with peace. Again, this doesn't mean that you don't feel. You actually feel a lot. But detachment allows you not to make it mean something about your worth and to maintain hope for the future. Please don't mistake detachment for walls. Detachment is simply love with freedom. With detachment, you get to choose love, not just wait around to be chosen. If you want practical tips on how to detach, watch this video next.